My name's Gabriella. My birth certificate says I'm 29. I'm originally from the European continent, but I was born, theoretically this says in legal terms that I was born in Coon Rapids, which is actually a way station that just has a water tower and no hospital. But I was actually born in Egypt. I had to travel to the Palestinian a circle of their commune so that they could get me to a place in Europe where I could be born. And it's cool because my family, they're actually Blackfoot Native Americans and Ojibwe, and they were born in Europe. And so then my grandmother, she's Italian, and so then my mother, she's Italian and Native American. And so then I lived out in Europe until I was 4, and then I moved from there to here, and I lived in Minnesota until I was 19. I had 3 kids before I was 18. I started doing meth when I stopped having custody of my kids, and it was just so that I could get by every day without having to be hungry non-stop. I started living in a bando, and it just recently stopped. I moved in with my friend Carl. He's been keeping me in a household and trying to keep me sober, which has been pretty successful actually. I just ran into my friends over here. I haven't come on to West Granite or the metropolitan area in a few months. After I broke my hip, I got hit on one of those razor scooters that you saw me with earlier by a car, and I know why they name them razor scooters, because if you paint them a different color and you can't see the logo and you get hit by a car, then you get like this kind of gash that looks like you got cut by a razor, that size of the scooter. It's kind of cool. I mean, in a grotesque way.
Tell us about your childhood growing up. What kind of household did you come from?
My grandmother, she was used to living in Russia. You see on the commercials where they have those Jewish people that live out in poverty. She had a nice house, but during the winter it was so cold that the floor would freeze, and it only had one pipe going through it. And so when she moved to Fridley, Minnesota, she actually knew how to be very, the word for pinching your pennies.
Frugal.
Yes, and sorry, I got raised by my grandma, and it was really nice. I was the only child in her household, and I had 3 meals a day, sometimes snacks, but not very often because I tried to be a glutton. And I actually had to get on a severe medication, like for an emergency. Like I almost got diabetes and I almost killed myself when I was fairly young, trying to eat and eat. And so that she would get me Slim Fasts, and so then I would drink that instead of a snack.
What schools did you go to?
I went to Woodcrest Elementary, Westwood Middle School, and then I went to South High in Minneapolis. The first 2 are in Fridley and Blaine. Those are suburbs of Minnesota. And then the last one is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And so it was a huge change from being in the rural area and then going to high school in the metropolitan city. And it's a small city compared to the other cities that I've been in. Like St. Louis is about 5 times bigger than Minneapolis, even though St. Paul's right there, but it's mostly a place where they have colleges and business buildings.
What brought you to St. Louis from Minnesota?
I was living with my dad in Gurnee, Illinois, and he's over by Chicago, and then I moved in by myself, and then I ended up out on the streets in Granite. And I've stayed here because I've built friendships that I don't have anywhere else.
What jobs have you had over the years?
I was working as a cashier in Cherries at a casino. So every once in a while I'd have to carry like $5,000 to the bank from the Cherries cashier to the bank through the casino. It was like my heartbeat was in my throat.
Why'd you stop working there?
I got fired.
What happened?
I just missed too many days.
When did you get introduced to that lifestyle dealing with substances and alcohol, or like When did that start?
I was living out in California as a vagrant, and it's just something that I started doing because it was how I could blend into the crowd of people I was in motion with, and it helped me not be as hungry all the time.
How long were you in California?
About 4 years.
How long have you been on the street, dealing with the street, and what caused you to be on the street?
Not losing custody of my kids, it's just the lack of not having something in my life that was the substantial filler, that was something that I had planned and where I could put my head, like that was where my game was at, and fill my brain up with all these things that were coming at me, like appointments and how to stay on top of that. I just didn't have anything to fill those spaces of my life anymore, and there really wasn't much of a social group of people that were around me anymore, because my kids were really young when I lost custody of them, and all of my friends were people that had kids the same age, and I fell off.
Who has your kids now?
Their dad.
So where are they located?
In Minnesota still.
Are you in contact with them?
I might need to catch my friends.
If there's anything you want to say to anybody who may be looking for you, worried about you, Miss Gabriella, now's the time you can say it in closing.
My dad, Guy, I want him to know I'm not doing my best, and I'd love to get in contact with him, but I'm not at any, nobody's coming after me.
We appreciate you sitting down with us, Miss Gabriella. Thank you.
Thank you.